What's up?
What up, everybody? Be More Training, doing a little bit different now. We are now online because obviously we can't be meeting in person. Today, Mike will be touching or talking a little bit about profit first, which don't skip. I know some of you guys are going to want to, but we have details in the description, notes on profit first. But Mike will be covering profit first today for you guys. And if you're sitting at home, if you're with your team, if you're at home or with your team or whatever this looks like, this will bring value to you. First quarter is done. It's gone. So we got to see what running a business profit first is going to look like for the rest of the year, and including with everything going on. It's going to get a little crazy. So this is why we need to bring in the specialist, the Mac, the very best, Mike Glaspie.
What's going on? I feel like this is a beautiful introduction here. We already got some people joining. Hey, so check it out, guys. I am a huge advocate for Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I've been working on his name because I messed it up during one of the talks. But look, the Profit First model, just to keep it plain simply, that's how I run my business. But it helps you kind of articulate where's your money going. As we all know here in this game, money comes in really quick, but money goes out even faster, it seems sometimes, right? So we're going to jump right into it. I have some slides that I'm going to be using to follow along. As Ruben said, he has this beautiful summary of the book that he added in the notes. So you guys can go there to follow along, all right? But without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. So why do you even care about Profit First? Why do you even care about any of this? Just know that 8 out of 10 businesses actually fail. And the number one contributor to the failure is the lack of profits, right? Obviously, I did a class a couple, months ago, I don't know when it was, but about some of the 3 things that every business needs to succeed, and your net income or that profit margin is vital, right? So understand that is important. It's a key aspect. All right, so the Profit First, the book itself, it said it's not you who is flawed of what you know about traditional accounting processes for profit, it's the system. And so I want you to think about it like this. Right now, tell me, what's the formula for profit? Tell me, go. Okay, all right, so I figure you probably said something like revenue or gross income minus expenses equals your profit. That's the traditional way that we were all taught. That's how it's taught in school. If you go out and talk to any accountant, any bookkeeper, that's what they're going to tell you. Well, instinctually in your mind, when you think of that, you're saying, okay, so if I want to increase my profit, I need to increase my sales, right? It makes sense. But what typically happens when your sales increase? Typically, your expenses increase. I'm trying to give usually, we do this in person. I see people interact. So I'm just trying to give you guys some time to think about it. But think about it. When your sales increase, typically your expenses increase. So let's think that through even further. In order to get more sales, you probably have to do more lead generation. Lead generation probably needs more marketing. Now, once you actually have these leads and they come in-house and you need to service them, you probably got to maybe hire some more admin, hire some more assistants. You got more expenses, right? And so ultimately, as the sales increase, if your expenses increases, your profit margin is at risk of staying the same, right? Or just not growing as rapidly as you might want. So that's kind of the concept there. So what are the 2 things that typically slow down the cash flow? So your sales goes down, right? This is number 1, meaning that you're just not having enough revenue coming in. Or your sales speed up and the expenses go up, like we talked about. So Profit First follows 4 key principles, all right? This is how they think. So the first one is called Parkinson's Law. And it's like, this is very common because most of us see this. The way they describe it is why your business is like a tube of toothpaste, right? I like to think of it like this. Remember growing up, most of us did this. When the toothpaste would run out, y'all sit there and roll it up real tight to get all the extra toothpaste out, right? Because y'all knew that your mom and your dad was like, no, you're gonna finish what's in that toothpaste before we go get some more toothpaste, right? So you used what was available, okay? Now, as time has grown on, I'm guilty of it too. Now, I still squeeze the toothpaste. I sure do. And I'll squeeze it all out, but I'm not going to sit there and roll it up like I used to, because it's a little bit easier to get a hold of now, right? So just like I alluded to before, typically when sales goes up, expenses go up, because you as the business owner, you simply think, oh, money is more abundant now, so I have more of it to use. So think about it like this. Think about all this construction we always see at every major city. You're like, oh, hell yeah, they're putting in 295. Oh, that's going to help with traffic. Yeah. Oh, they're putting on 2 additional lanes on the highway. Oh, the commute time is going to be a lot faster now. And then once the construction gets done, what happens? It's just more cars on the road. The commute is the same damn time, right? So just because you have more space, typically you're going to use it. So that's Parkinson's law. That's the theory. That's the principle behind this profit first. Understanding that if you have more revenue and have more sales, instinctually, it's human habit to use more of that money. So we lose that added profit on the back end, okay? The next is the primacy effect. We act on what we hear first. So let's go back to that formula. The school teaches us what? Sales or revenue minus expenses equals profit. That's what they teach us. So we hear sales. We focus on sales. How many of you are guilty of saying, damn, I need to make more money this year. How do I get more sales? I'm pretty sure 99%, right? I do it too, but just understand that it's not just sales. We can find a lot of efficiencies in managing our expenses to increase our money. Amen. I got an amen. There we go. All right, so the next one is remove temptation. And so the principle behind this is, if you guys take out the profit first, it's gone. It's gone, baby. You're not tempted to spend it anymore. Okay, you remove the temptation. It's by essentially that whole concept that everybody's heard of with financial responsibility is pay yourself first, right? Once that's paid and locked away and you've secured it up and you know you can't touch that, you're now focused on what's available, all right? And then the last one is enforce a rhythm. Now, this one's a little bit difficult, but think about it. If you can instill a habit that every time that check comes in, you're dividing it up to your margins, and we're going to get over those bank accounts and what the percentages look like and all that good stuff. But if you can develop a rhythm, it becomes a habit, right? Everybody here knows motivation fades. It's the habits that compound, okay? It's the discipline that's going to yield results. So just because you know, hey, I had a great month this year, I made an extra $5,000, I made an extra $10,000 than I usually do, you still want to follow that habit, because that next month when it doesn't happen that way and old COVID-19 comes over here and throat chops you, then you're going to be like, I wish that I had stuck with my habits, okay? Now, with them very particularly, with Profit First, they like to say, have all the checks come in on the same 2 days out of the month, right? We're in real estate. It doesn't work that way. We're going to get the checks when we get the checks, all right? We're going to get these checks as soon as it closes, then we're going to take them. Now, what I would suggest is that you instill a habit, and again, we're going to go into these accounts, and I'm about to write it down, draw some pictures, but twice a month, you actually divide up the checks, okay? So let the checks keep on rolling in, and then divide them up. Over time, you'll quickly see that, hey, I can focus on my operating expenses only and kind of go from there. So those are the 4 principles. And I don't know if y'all been asking questions. I don't know. Not yet? Okay. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so now we're about to get into the accounts. We're going to talk about this. Now, again, I do this. I literally do this for all my businesses, so I'm a firm believer in it. Can y'all see it? I'm going to write it down first, and then I'm going to hold it up. All right, so the first account. The first account is the income account. That's right. It's named income. We're getting to the meat now, guys. It's called income. You see it. That means all money that's incoming goes into this account. I don't care if it's a referral check, if it's a commission check, if it's a rent check, if it's I don't care. All money that's incoming goes into the income account. period. All right, next account. What's the book called? What's this title?
Profit.
Profit. Yes, y'all say profit. Profit. So the next account is the profit account. Another checking account, guys. Boom, a profit account. This essentially is where the profit is going to go. Makes sense, right? All right, next one. Most of us here work these businesses to support a lifestyle. So we have to take a salary at some part, right? We have to be able to pay ourselves. So the next one is going to be your owner distribution or owner compensation. All right. I just call it owner pay. Yeah. Owner pay. Got it? Cool. The next one. What's the one thing that all of us as self-employed entrepreneurs have to pay even though we hate it? Taxes. And as you know, the taxes, man, they come out at the end of the year. So many people get these nice little beautiful paychecks and they think, hey, I got this money. I'm going to be financially responsible. I'm going to pay down debt. I got this money. I'm going to be financially responsible. I'm going to put, all of it in a savings account, all of it into a retirement account, whatever. But then they fail to realize that at the end of the year, you ain't paid your taxes yet, man. So the way we structure it into this model is we make an account specifically for taxes where we're going to throw a certain amount in there every paycheck. All right, taxes. And the last one. What's the one account that we haven't discussed? Expenses, right? We have our overhead, we have our reoccurring debts, we have our obligations to pay salaries, to pay contractors, to pay photographers, to do whatever. So we ball all that up to make it real plain and simple in one account called operating expenses or operator expenses. However you want to do it. I just say OpEx. Boom. It's beautiful, right? Just OpEx. Now, the best part about this is you guys, everybody here can literally go into their bank statements or their online platform and you can nickname your accounts. You really can. It takes you 2 seconds to open up an account. They're all free. So all you have to do is just say, hey, I just want to open up another checkings. Hey, I want to open up another savings. Nickname the account and it's done. It's done. All right. Now, the way that this money kind of flows into it, just so you're aware, they're pretty much in order. So,
I'm writing it. I'm posting there too.
Okay, cool. Just so y'all can see. So, as money comes into here, all money goes into income. From income, you then make the distributions to each one of these accounts. So although there are 5 accounts, truly only 4 of them are going to have money in them. Now, obviously, you guys need to speak to your lending institution, to your bank, because there may be a minimum account requirement, right? Maybe it's $25, maybe it's $300. Who knows? Who cares? Figure that out. It's not going to hurt you to leave some money in there. Believe me, $25, $300, just count it off as an expense, you're good to go. All right, now all the money is going to be pushed out to these other accounts. And the way we like to do it is through percentages. It's going to make it a lot easier because here's the thing. If you try to say $500 out of every check needs to go towards my owner pay or needs to go towards my profit, that gets really hard when one check's $10,000, the other check's $300, wasn't even enough to pay you the $500 in the first place, right? And if we think about it conceptually, it's taxes, right? It's taxes that are always computed at a percentage anyway. Does that make sense? So think about it. As you scale in your tax bracket, and if you guys, for quick pause, if you guys don't know your tax bracket and you don't know how the tax bracket system works, I highly encourage you to take some time to study it because you as a business owner, it is imperative that you understand how taxes work for your business, for your livelihood. Understand that because as you have multiple incomes and everything else, it changes. Anyway, now tax brackets, back to the little topic here, sorry for the little rant. they're based on percentages. What we like to say here is we like to take 30% of all of our income and put aside for taxes. So out of every single check, we take 30%. Now, again, you can choose and you can decide where you'd like to put it in your tax bracket, right? Or based off of your tax bracket, based off your income or your projected income. But I like to always shoot for the moon and be over prepared because we can always make more money, right? We can always make more money. We need to make sure that all the other bases are covered. So if we know immediately that this is 30%, that means we got 70% left of all this income that we get to divide up amongst the four of them. And where do we start first? It's a trick question, but you already know it's profit. It's profit. Now, the reason we like to go with profit first, because I'll tell you what, if we do profit, right, and then we do owner pay, we already have taxes in there. What's left? It's OPEX, it's operating expenses. Now, a lot of you would say, well, no, I got the bills first. True, but if you go ahead and take care of these first, and if you're short here, if you're short for whatever reason, then you know you can make more money, right? Or it forces you to be a little bit more creative about your expenses down there in the first place. So this is why we do it. This is why we focus on the profit and the owner pays first. Now, however you want to structure this is completely up to you. It's completely up to you. I go for something like a 20, 20, 30. That's me personally, but you're going to have to look at your own expenses and understand how. Now, before we dig too deep into it, the question is, how do you know what's the right percentages? You don't know, right? You're going to have to find this out. So what you're going to need to do, this is homework for you, and I'm sure it's in that link that Ruben provided there as well, is you're going to have to pull some of your old profit and loss statements. Again, if you are an independent business owner and you have not reviewed your previous profit and loss statement or even know what that is, again, I challenge you to look into that because it's imperative. That is the lifeblood of your business. So you need to look at your old profit and loss. If you can, if you have one, go ahead and pull up that last tax return from 2019, right? If you already filed. If not, go to 2018. But get a tax return for the business. Ultimately, if you haven't been in business that long at all, just take the past couple of months. Just like you would do a budget, right? You would essentially say, hey, over the past 3 months, I've spent this much, I've made this much. You can take generally an average from there to kind of get you started. Now, once you figure out all those numbers and you have all that stuff in front of you, you got to add it up. You got to do some math. Get your calculator, get you a beer, some coffee, whatever it is that you like to do, and get ready to do some studying, okay? You need to figure out how much money came in. How much money came in, first and foremost. All right, I'm here within this range. Me, once I figure out exactly how much money I made, I like to give me a little bit of buffer. So maybe I'll do a 10% variance, right? Saying, all right, so let's say I made $100,000. It can range anywhere from $90,000 to $110,000. That's my variance. Since I like to be overly conservative, I'm going to prepare for the 110 as far as expenses goes, taxes and things of that nature, okay? Then from there, you're going to understand your tax bracket. Again, I like to use 30, but that's fine. Once you figure it out, you can say, hey, I don't intend to make any more than what I did last year, or I intend to double it. Let me make sure that the tax bracket at least covers my maximum projection. All right, so if you're going to be balling, if you balling in 2020 after all this COVID, go for the 35% tax bracket. Go ahead, go up, right? But if you feel confident that you're not going to exceed that for whatever reason, then just understand that you want to prepare your tax percentage for the max amount that you can make. All right, cool. So you got that, you solved the income, you got the tax bracket set up, boom, boom. After that, what are your expenses? What are your expenses? Treat this like a budget, like a true legitimate budget. Run everything down, see how much you're spending, and figure out what's reoccurring monthly, right? So some of our MLS fees, right? Super code box, all this other good stuff. Figure out what's occurring monthly, and then figure out what are some of your variable costs that don't necessarily need to be there, right? So fixed means every month it's coming out same price. Got it. Variable means every month it could come out, but it may fluctuate 10, 15, 20, $500, depending on what it is. Once you guys identify that, you can have a real talk with yourself and say, are the expenses even needed? Do I need, you know, and this is my favorite one, by all means, keep it, but do I need my Netflix account, right? Nah, people say, oh, Netflix doesn't hurt me, whatever. That's fine, that's irrelevant, but my point is that's $10 a month that's going out. If you're not using Netflix, right, or if you're using it negatively, you can see how that $10 can be saved and have a positive outlook. Same thing with gym memberships. So many people have these gym memberships, right, that are just constantly going, and they ain't been in the gym in 7 months. You know, their idea of a workout is to go walk around, and no disrespect to anybody who doesn't go to the gym, but you give them a point. You have to look at your expenses, see what's actually being used, and see how you can kind of tighten it up. All right, so now we got our income. Cool, we got our tax bracket. Now we got our expenses. Now you want to go to your owner pay aspect. How much do you need to live your life? Think about it and be honest, okay? Because here's the thing. I try to have everybody that we work with and that we associate with to understand that the reason we got into business is to design a lifestyle that we want. Nobody got into business for themselves for another job. Let's be honest, right? You started a business because you knew you get to control the outcome of this business. And now with that being said, you can design the lifestyle. So when I say how much do you need a month for your owner pay, I'm saying how much do you need for your lifestyle, the lifestyle you deserve, the lifestyle you want, okay? Is that $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $15,000? There's no wrong answer, there isn't. But once you understand that, now you can say, okay, I need to make this much in the owner pay section, right? Boom, now you have that amount. And then the last one is profits. Understand that owner pay and profits, again, two different things. Owner pay is for you to live, right there, bow, bow, bow. You know, pay your bills, get your groceries, go to Cancun. I think people do that still, I don't know. And then profit is literally the excess money that your business has made that is going to be reinvested back into the business. Okay, that could be with hiring new talent. That could be with new marketing. That could be with expanding into a new marketplace. It could be starting a YouTube channel. It could be writing a book. It can be, I mean, it's endless. But understand that the profit is meant to go back into the business. All right. So with all those aligned, and you did all your homework. You got it all. You figured out where you were. You figured out where you're going. You have essentially your dollar amounts. Now you can dictate percentages. Does that make sense? And hopefully I didn't stumble over myself there. So I asked you, how much do you need for owner pay to live your lifestyle, right? Where are you at expenses, dollar amount, right? And then you're gonna figure out your profit piece, you know, what's gonna be what's remaining there, and you already know your tax bracket, right? So let's rewind it all and put it all together. Again, let's use the example of $100,000. You went back and you did all this math, and you know in 2020 you're going to make $100,000, or you're very confident you're going to make $100,000. You take away 30%, that's $30,000. You look at your expenses. If expenses were $35,000, that's 35%. See what I'm saying? Owner pay, you know you need another $50,000, that's 50%. Now, obviously those numbers don't make sense, but you get my point. At that time, once you have it all laid out in front of you, now you can structure a plan, because I can almost guarantee you that they're going to be a little bit out of whack, right? This is why you're doing the homework, to see kind of where your percentages lie. Now you can see, damn, I spent 60% of my gross income on expenses. Ugh, that's not good. That's not good, right? Not to say that it's bad per se, but I can guarantee you it'd be a lot better. Right, we actually like to say that if you're operating at about a 40% margin, that's a really healthy company, right? That's a really healthy company. So just kind of keep that in mind. But always evaluate, and then you put in the plan to fix it. All right, so we got that. So we got how to find out the numbers, you know what homework you got to do, and then basically from there, the next action step is go to the bank and get it open. All right. That pretty much sums it up. That pretty much sums it up. Is there any questions? I know Ruben's checking the questions.
No, I don't see any so far, but I got a question. So what if my business is operating in the red every month? How do I do profit first?
If you're operating in the red, I need you to stop, pause, literally take a break, and I want you to reevaluate everything. Why is it operating in the red? First and foremost, you got to ask yourself why. Is it user error? Is it something that you personally have done to cause this negative effect? What I mean by that is a lot of times people will pay for things that are not necessary. Zillow leads, realtor.com leads, whatever, that may not necessarily be generating revenue. If you are in that situation, you need to stop and realize that you must lead your business with revenue and profits. You have to lead with revenue. That is a principle of business, okay? So if you're operating in the red, I want you to step back and I want you to lead with the revenue. So figure out how much money is actually coming in. How much money is coming in? Then you can subtract your profits. How much do you need to be in the green to be successful in your term, right? So let's just say you're making $1,000 a month and you need $100 a month in profits to be considered successful. There you go. That's your 10%. From there, from that point, you know that you have $900 remaining. Now figure out how the hell you're going to reduce your expenses to less than $900, period. Actually, I'll take that back because you still got taxes. You still got taxes. You got to take that out. Then figure out what's remaining. And you have to think with that mindset. If you're not thinking with revenue leading your business, that is probably the #1 mistake for most small business owners is they sit there and say, oh, I got money. I just got this brand new loan. I got this, and they think it's going to be there forever. It's not the case. Figure out what you have coming in, what you have to work with, and then you get creative and you figure it out. You be that how-to entrepreneur that you set out to be, and you figure out the solution to your issue. Next question.
Another question. This one comes from Paul.
What's up, Paul?
All right, does this approach change based on business structure? For example, as an S Corp with employees, the corporation doesn't pay taxes.
Well, they don't pay taxes on the employees' percentage, but understand that you still have to report and file your taxes 4 times a year. So the company itself is still paying some form of taxes. You are still filing for taxes. You need to figure out what your tax bracket is, and the concept is still the same. The concept is exactly the same. So this model works great for small businesses. At a certain point in time, if you grow to the point where you're large enough to support an in-house accounting team, you won't even need this anymore, right? But for those who are still grassroots, those who have maybe 5 employees, 10 employees, are independent contractors who like to contract out a lot of their business, right? So we have 1099s for everything, photography, staging, so forth and so on. It's still grassroots enough that it makes enough sense for us to use this model and stay sane, right? Have a very clear picture of how to move ahead without having to take 8 classes on QuickBooks and all this other thing. So, but if you already have a bookkeeper, if you already have a CPA and things of that nature, this model may not be necessary for you. It may not. But for everybody else who start, I have a CPA and a bookkeeper, and I still do this because it allows me to really control my income and my cash flow by maintaining my profit first and really reducing my expenses. Next question.
All right, so this question comes from Ant.
What's up, Ant?
All right, so you probably said this, but how much profit is too much or too little to take home? I know you said lifestyle dependent.
Yeah, so profits, I would never say there isn't too much. Now, this is my personal opinion, by the way. This is just completely my personal opinion. To me, I would say that there is no such thing as too much profit. I want all the profit in the world. But then you have to be kind of realistic, right? How much is your overhead, truly, right? If you're working out of your house, you're doing most of your stuff off your computer and off your phone, your overhead is very, very little. But if you have to have an office space, you have 5, 6, 7 employees, you have a business car and all these other things, then your overhead's a little bit more robust. And so just truly understand that profit is derivative of your revenue. It really is. How much money can you bring in? So if you're making, too little, I would say, now let's look at percentages. Now we can get into the percentage realm. If you're grossing maybe a 30% profit, like that's not bad. That's not bad. There's no right or wrong. Obviously, the greater it is, the better it is, right? But it really depends on you. I am a firm believer that we got into business to create a lifestyle. At a certain point, it's all about the grind. It's all about the grind. But there's a tipping point where once you hit that profit margin that you're truly looking for, then you can be a little bit more selective with who you're working with. You can charge a little bit more for a premium for a certain type of clientele and things of that nature, right? So it really is all dependent on you. That was a long answer to not really answer it at all, but it all depends on you. That's my answer. Next one.
He did bring clarity, and he said personal opinion, so thank you for sharing your personal opinion on that. So what if your tax account, let's say you have $50,000 in your tax account. At the end of the year, the taxes are $20,000. You pay $20,000. You have an extra $30,000 in your tax account. What do you do with it?
You just got a bonus. Yo, so like, check it out. That's what I love about this model is we predict. It's all prediction. We have to predict our performance in business. All of us do. That's how a responsible business owner should operate. So we predict our performance, and while we have our great CPA and our bookkeeper with us, we're implementing a tax strategy. So even if we made $100,000 and we should be taxed $30,000, our awesome CPA and bookkeeper are helping us figure out where we can cut out all these different expenses. So at the end of the year, we pay a little bit less. Now, the beautiful part about it is your tax obligation is due at the end of the year, or for the guy with the S Corp, you got 4 quarterly reports, got it? You do those all throughout these times, but by the end of that calendar year, when all those reports are filed, whatever's remaining is yours. That's extra. It's icing on the cake. So you can count it as a bonus. You can count it as extra profits. You can reinvest it in the company. At that point, it is completely up to you. But that's the beautiful thing about this. It's extra money in your pocket. Next question.
So there are actually no more questions. If you got a question, drop it below so we can answer it for you, because usually during Be More training, we have people answer or asking questions at the very end, and we want to make sure that we bring the most value to you. What questions do you have? It says, this is all good info. Awesome. Comes from Nikki. What's up, Nikki? So, yeah, if you have any questions, just shoot over it. Obviously, it's pretty important that you have a rock star CPA that may understand this whole model and what your structure is and what you're trying to accomplish. I will say, I believe we have the same CPA, Rockstar. We're getting updates on what's going on with the stimulus package, to what's going on with that $10,000 that may be coming, the PPT that dropped like last night or so. So it does, look at what that CPA does for you in your business. And I think on Profit First, correct me if I'm wrong, they have a list of CPAs that understand that model as well. But again, cheat sheet within the description below, we do have a summary of the book. I'm gonna check one more time. Let's see.
And I'm going to go on a little rant here. Just realize, guys, Profit First is a way for you to manage your expenses. If you start to hire a CPA and a bookkeeper, like, as I mentioned, I'm a huge advocate of this. All of my businesses are run off the Profit First model. That's why I'm sharing my insight on it. But if you do have a CPA and a bookkeeper, that's fine. You can use their systems, their models, their whatever. But this is a way for you to grasp this concept. Well, on that, side note, guys, what's the one thing in the world that makes everything happen, that gets you everything that you or your children or your family needs and wants? It's money, right? And people spend more time learning about how to do a diet properly or a workout program than they will ever do to study money, to study how the economy actually works. This right here is a very, very, very simplistic approach to money, controlling your money. But if you guys understand that money is just a tool, that is all it is. It's the same thing as a hammer. It's the same thing as a saw. The more skilled you are by using that tool, the more you can do with it, the more creative you can get, the more value you can add. All right. So just understand to put this book, this Profit First model, as just an extra tool on the tool belt. And you guys have got to continue to educate yourself on finances, on this stimulus plan, on the economy. What are going to be some of the after effects, things of that nature.
Agreed. We're getting some great comments. So thank you so much for Everett. Do you have anything else you want to jump in there? Awesome. I will say, that tax account is pretty awesome. I love the tax account because as the CPA looks over everything that you have, they will attach credits, they will attach write-offs, and eventually you won't pay. If you're doing it the right way and you got a rockstar CPA and you're really watching your expenses, you won't pay that chunk of money, so you can reinvest back into real estate, which obviously is something we look into, and other assets. So run your business like a business, profit first day one, so it's not a freaking headache and you're pissed off because it's always in the red. This is a great formula to make sure that you're doing that. I'm going to check one more time. If there's no questions, we're going to jump off here. This was the best. Study how increasing income. Seriously, guys, this was very informative. Thank you so much. I can't wait to watch more. Thank you all for watching, and ready to sign out?
Sign off.
Signing off.
Appreciate you
Adios.
guys.